Hi, boys and girls. Happy Earth Day. I have a story for you. Heart of a Tiger, written by Marcia Diane Arnold, pictures by Jamichael Hinterly. And I do love the illustrations in this book. The Losiander kittens scattered as Master pushed the door open and stomped past them. He'd risen early to hunt jungle fowl for the family's dinner table, and that would be birds. Number 4 hid himself under a pillow, for he'd heard the loud boom of Master's gun before, and he did not like it. As the rumbling of Master's jeep faded into the forest, the kittens returned to more important matters. The name day celebration was only 1 week away. "My name shall be Baharde Shikari, Mighty Hunter," declared number 1, scouting the veranda for mice. "I'll choose Ranj, Baranj, Kapare, Calico Colors," added number 2, as she sat grooming her long fur. "Selene, Adventure will be my name," called number 3 from high in the jasmine trellis. "And you, number 4?" asked 2, turning to the small gray kitten who had finally pulled his head from beneath the pillow. "What will your name be, smallest of all?" "Why, well, I haven't decided," he mumbled as he straightened himself and stared into the forest. Being the runt of the litter, 4 supposed he should name himself smallest of all, but he was afraid if he named himself that, it would always be so. "What are you looking at, out there in the forest day after day?" asked 2. "The sunlight and the shadows and the cotton tree flowers," 4 answered. His answer was the truth, but it was not all the truth. When 4 stared into the forest, he was doing more than looking. He was searching. He'd seen the magnificent one pass this way, golden stripes shining like 100 suns amid black night, steps floating smooth and silent through tender grass. 4 felt from the first time he'd seen the wondrous beast that this is what he was meant to be, not smallest of all, or tiny gray thing, but golden splendor, silent walker, beautiful Bengal. And yet 4 had never found the courage to follow and to learn, and now naming day was only 1 week away. As the sun's first rays lit the sky, the lights and the shades of the forest began to play tricks. 4 did not stop to think of the dangers of the forest or the comfort of his pillow. 1 week before naming day was all he thought, and he ran deep into the forest in search of beautiful Bengal. When he reached the shade of a bombax tree, 4 looked up and saw a flock of parakeets preening themselves. "What are you doing so far from the plantation?" said one. "Well, I'm searching for Bengal," 4 answered, "so I can learn to be like him and give myself a name like his on naming day." The parakeets twittered uncontrollably, nearly falling from their perches. "Do you see my great feathers?" chirped one. "Without them, I would not be a parakeet. And in your murky gray coat, you will never be a tiger." And with this, all the parakeets shrieked, "Murky gray coat! Murky gray coat!" 4 peered at his reflection in a rain puddle. He sat for a while, stared again into the forest, and then rose and walked determinedly on. In and around a ziphus tree, long-tailed langurs lunched. "Why, what is this small gray spot among the fallen fruit?" asked one of the langurs. It's me, 4. I'm searching for Bengal so I can learn to be like him and give myself a name like his on naming day." The langur chuckled and chattered. "Oh, the Bengal tiger would eat me in 2 bites. But you, little gray spot, he could eat you in 1. And all the monkeys broke into rude laughter. "1 morsel should be your name. 1 morsel, 1 morsel," they teased. "And your names should be the messy ones," said 4, but the langurs did not hear. Their laughter turned to screeching as they scrambled to the highest branches. Quickly 4 turned, and 2 yellow-green eyes glowed stern before him. A golden forehead wrinkled in annoyance. White teeth flashed. "Your meddling has cost me my dinner." Bengal's voice was like thunder. "Who are you, and why do you scurry through my forest?" 4 squeezed a tiny sound from his quivering throat. I'm 4. I came to the forest to learn from you so I can give myself a tiger's name on naming day." Bengal cocked his head. "You are no tiger." 4 found more courage. "But you could teach me to be." "How can one teach wisdom? How can one teach bravery?" I'll follow you and watch." "I travel far, and I travel alone." I'll not ruin your dinner again, 4 promised. Oh, Bengal, I cannot live with a small, gray, ordinary name. In my heart and bigger than what you see. Bengal's eyes softened, but his voice was firm. Return to your mother, little 4, before it is too late. And silently he glided into the yellow-brown thicket and disappeared. In the distance came a peacock's cry. Naming day, naming day! 1 week away, answered 4, and he sprang through the thicket after beautiful Bengal. Days and nights 4 followed Bengal. His paws became bruised, his fur grew matted, and his stomach was sometimes empty. But he learned much about when to be silent in the forest, where the best water holes were, and how to live wisely and strongly on his own. After a time, 4 became too weary to keep up. Walking across the flat grassland, he came upon a large rock and crawled into its high crevice to rest. Tomorrow I'll track Bengal and I'll find him again, he said as he curled his tail around his nose and fell asleep. 4 awoke to see men moving steadily across the savannah. Tin cans rattled at their sides. Sticks and spoons and pipes beat against drums and pots in pans. The savannah was filled with a deafening clamor. Where the river ran, at the other side of the savannah, 4 saw elephants lumbering toward the beaters. Elephants unlike those that he'd seen passing through the forest. These elephants carried large, decorated baskets on their backs, and their jewel-covered skins sparkled in the light. Squinting his eyes against the sun, 4 saw that the baskets held men, and the men held guns. 4 shrank into his crevice. A streak of orange and black veered toward him. It was Bengal, zigzagging through thicket to thicket, trying to escape the endless noise by running toward the river. At that moment, 4 understood the terrible trick the men were playing. As Bengal neared the rock, 4 gave 1 strong leap and landed on the tiger's back. Clinging tightly, he moved close to Bengal's ear. Bengal, it's 4. Listen to me and you will live. Bengal ran on. I must reach the river and swim to safety before the terrible noise swallows us. Oh, no, Bengal. The elephants block the river. I have walked before among elephants, the tiger insisted. 4 spoke more firmly. Upon these elephants ride men, and in their hands is death. I saw them from my perch, high on the rock. Bengal slowed his pace and listened. The beaters are loud and frightening, said 4, but they're only noise. Trust me, Bengal. Turn and run toward the beaters. Bengal thought for only a moment, and then he turned toward the beaters and ran. Screaming in terror, the beaters darted in all directions. Sticks and spoons and pipes flew into thickets. Drums and pots and pans dropped in the grass. The men with guns were left alone on the far side of the savannah. Together, 4 and Bengal found a safe place in the forest and collapsed near a clump of bamboo. Did you see their faces, Bengal? Asked 4 with a twinkle in his eye. We played a trick on them the way they tried to play a trick on you. It would have been a deadly trick if you'd not been there, panted Bengal. When the dusk approached, Bengal rose and said, Little 4, you wanted a name like mine on naming day, but I fear you will never be a Bengal tiger. You will never be 10 feet long, and you will never have a coat of 100 suns amid black night. 4 looked down at his small body and gray coat, and even with all that he'd learned and with all that he'd done, he knew Bengal spoke the truth. But inside, little 4, you have a heart that will grow in wisdom and power as you grow. Bengal turned toward the plantation. Your naming day is almost here. You would not want to miss it. On naming day, the Indian sun woke the plantation early, and from forest and farm the animals gathered near the banyan tree for the celebration. One by one, Vivasi Nukar, faithful servant, proudly introduced her kittens by their chosen name. Bahadar Shikari, mighty hunter. Range for Range Kapare, calico colors. Saleni, adventure. And Bengali Sher Kadil, heart of a tiger. And all of the animals agreed they were fair and honest names. I'll see you tomorrow.